Hi, beautiful souls. Welcome to another episode of Rise, Reclaim, and Renew. Hi, I'm your host, Joni Elizabeth, and today I am so excited. We have a special guest speaker with us, Rae Ann Hall. She is a author, a speaker, a podcaster. She's the executive director of Grow Now nonprofit organization, and she is a color code specialist. We are going to be talking about her book today, Emotional Wellness. Welcome, Rae Ann. I'm so happy to have you with us today.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. And just to clarify, it's color code personality science trainer. It's what I use with all my mentoring.
I love that. Thank you for the correction, too.
Yes.
Yes. Are you enjoying this beautiful sunshine we're having out here in the Pacific Northwest?
I love it. Yes, I am soaking it in.
Yes, we need to when we get our sunshine out here, don't we?
Yes.
So today, I'm so happy that you took the time to be with us to share a very important topic. It's one I'm passionate about myself, and that is on emotional wellness. So I understand you've written a book about that. I'd love to have us learn more about that, but first and foremost, learn a little bit more about you and maybe what you're open to sharing with what led you to writing this book.
Okay. Well, I'm happy to share. So, where would you like me to start? Eh, I founded Now Networking 10 years ago. And this year, it was originally a women's organization. And this year, we are expanding and trying to give out more money. And we're doing a lot of neat things with Grow Now. We have changed the name to Grow Now. It more encapsulates what we're about, which is personal and professional growth. And at Grow Now, we're a group of professional networkers that have a cause. So we help each other's business grow, but we also give back to the community, and we're focused on youth who are graduating high school and had experienced diverse childhood experiences. It's kind of well known as ACEs. That's what it stands for.
I
And
love
so it ties into my story, which I am a survivor of adverse childhood experiences. Specifically, I am a survivor of childhood sexual abuse. And I have found healing through the years. A lot of it in the beginning was mindset and understanding fault and blame and that my things like that. And that counseling worked for a long time, but recently I went through something where my experience showed me that my healing needed to go deeper. And so I always say I don't want to share details of the experience because I there are people, you know how the ripple effect is. It would hurt more people if the full truth was out there.
hmm
And I'm considerate of that. My approach is more proactive, and then I made mistakes too. So we always have to look at things from, in fact, my healing propelled when I turned inward and said, hey, you need to look at something. Okay, why are you drawing this in? Why are you allowing this behavior? What are all these choices you're making? I was in a vulnerable place in my life where my husband and I separated. And so I was in a vulnerable place, getting ready to get divorced and not waiting for other relationships to start. And he was fully aware of that. It had been a long time coming. But however, when you're in that place, some of your vulnerabilities increase, are heightened.
hmm
I don't blame it just on that, but it revealed a lot. So my journey, I guess what I would say is my journey started there from a vulnerable place and from an unhealed place. And that brought a lot of shame to me. Now, before you get too worried, I have released that shame. That was one of the most freeing things that I did. And I took this journey on becoming self accepting myself and accountability for me. It does not, I repeat, does not negate the responsibility or the accountability that others should have taken and no, did not. And did dehumanizing, degrading things. And I had to look at that. I drew that into my life. And in one case where feelings were deep for the individual, I wanted to continue to allow that. Now that is a harsh truth that people will resonate with. It's
Yes.
called a trauma bond. And so what I had to do was release any idea that this person was going to take accountability and that he was to blame for everything. As we know logically, we cannot control the actions of others. So that began my journey, and I was listening to a of all things Facebook video, but of a local woman, and the way she was describing the situation, I said, "I'll be darned, I have a trauma bond."
Hmm.
I, because what she just described was so, and then I eventually learned a lot through that. And that was almost a couple years ago. It began a deeper healing, a deeper inward look, and I began to emotionally heal from that experience, working with her for, well, a year and a half of over releasing that trauma bond, and it was a really stronghold. And I had to really look at that and some of my reactions. While we know that with narcissism, that does affect your brain chemistry, even not,
Absolutely.
not to mention all the stuff from the childhood. But anyway, that began my journey for emotional healing. And as much as the damaging things were done, I had to, come into my place, do the work for me. And my once I got to that place, my healing propelled. So
I,
that's kind of in a nutshell, a long, grueling process of releasing trauma. And later on, we could talk more about the book that I wrote about it.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And I absolutely love, you're like, I'm a survivor. So, and not, being a victimish, we're a victim of abuse. We don't get control over our parents or what other people do, but how you're, um, when we take ownership of what was it in me that drew me to that, allowing this or not understanding in the education piece and the healing journey, that the gift that you gave yourself, where counseling took you, pretty deep, and it depends, there's a variety of therapies and very helpful strategies that are amazing, but also that part where you're like, for you, that part of the trauma bond which needs to be brought in for sure, we're like, aha, this is something that I can really resonate with. So you weren't staying in, and it's not dismissing the abuser at all or abuses, but you were taking ownership and owning, I like to say, owning your path in life. Like, I want to heal. I want to find myself again. I want to feel better. And you deserve to be celebrated. That is so super exciting. And the things that you're bringing forth now of the wellness, the healing, and how important that is.
It is. We in our individual journey, we have to take the helm. What's the saying? We're at the helm of it. Let's take the bull by the horns, whatever kind of saying you want to say. We have to step into, and it can be hard, behaviors that you've been doing that were toxic yourself,
Hmm.
and healing the toxic behaviors of others to you and the harm. But we can only control our journey. And so as I started to learn that, my Honestly, I fell in love with myself again.
Yay,
Um,
I love that.
because I was seeking validation from the wrong things and I was escaping in the wrong things.
Mhm.
And I wasn't stepping up to the plate in my own life. Had I been, I wouldn't have gotten in those situations. But again, if you understand my story, the type of marriage I was in, um, there were and my history, you can blame it on all these things. But once I released shame, blame, all of that, and just said, okay, I'm going to heal these deeper wounds. That's when my shift began. And I've said this on a couple of podcasts already, but it did become like a whole new world.
Yes,
Not
yes.
every word of that song applies, but
Yeah,
my life enriched and my journey was about me and not about someone else. Um, validating that they did these horrific things that were it was like I was being punched in the gut, stabbed in the back, hit in the face. None of that was happening, but it's how it felt.
yes,
That
yeah,
sick feeling inside, like, oh my gosh, these things really happened to
yeah.
me, and I knew better. And that's the thing is like sometimes we logically and emotionally that match it up. That's when you know the healing needs to go deeper. And
Hmm.
you're drawing in something, and when it's a narcissist, it's well packaged and it's the lies with an innocent face. It's the no, there's no line that that person won't cross. No thought of you, only themselves. And all you're coming from a place of this genuine love that you feel is like, wow, because they know how to say the right things. And it's called love bombing, where it might even be genuine, but it's not backed up with, you know, it's not healthy. It's toxic.
Yeah.
Eventually, they will be found out. But you, when I started looking at why did I draw this in, all of those things, um, like again, like I said, my healing it shifts and it does become a whole new world when you start looking inward and start feeling and going through the different things that can help you. For example, well, anyway, I'll pause right here because you probably need to speak.
Well, no, I love what you're sharing, and I love that you have, as you're saying, a whole new world. It really is like I tell people when I see the shift, it's like, welcome home to who you're designed to be. The healing journey, it's beautiful, it's painful, it's a lot of things. But when we look at that old blueprint and why are we living life by default, what we knew, what we learned, versus can I unlearn it, see it on the blueprint, unlearn it, and learn life by design when you go, this is what I like, this is who I am. I think that's beautiful. I can see it on your face. You're just radiant when you talk about that. And to give us messages of hope. So we're not going to dive into narcissistic abuse today, but that is an element of it for sure. And I I want you to
Oh,
hear
if I can, oh, go ahead.
I want you to hear people to hear that you can heal from this. So to give that message of hope, because my goodness, it feels like life is shattered now. What? But you're another example of healing and the strength, right? So I really want to talk a little bit more about your book. I love that you included the emotional healing and processing and attachment, and then I thought, oh, good for you. You included forgiveness. And one of my other favorite things, I bring this into my practice appropriately, but laughter and joy and fun again. So I want to learn what you'd like to share with us that's going to be very helpful for what a woman needs to hear or a man that's going through trying to find themselves and healing on
Yeah,
that emotional journey.
I'm glad you mentioned men because I actually, one of my friends opened up to me and he was in a narcissistic relationship. And he said it really messed him up for future relationships. And I've shared some things with him. But the book is titled, Emotional Healing, Navigating from Surviving to Thriving. And that's exactly when it becomes that whole new world, because all of a sudden you see things, everything's brighter, you have more clarity, you have more self-love, your boundaries are much easier to set and keep. But it's a journey. It is not a light switch. You don't just go, oh, I decide to heal, I'm done. No, 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 no. And even as far as I've come, that sense of well-being and that work on inner health continues. We're always evolving and getting better, but it's so nice to have that release that I felt even just early in this year. I felt shifts and shifts over the last couple of years, but then I felt this something just finally, released. And that's why I'm sharing this book, because it starts out with processing feeling, and then it talks about and it's a proactive, it's not a storytelling, it's little bite-sized absorbable tips on how to process feelings, what your body experienced with trauma, releasing a trauma bond, your relationship with yourself, releasing strongholds. There's another chapter on manifestation and affirmations. And there's a chapter on forgiveness and one on laughter, like you mentioned. And, sometimes when you're in the middle of that trauma, laughter is the last thing you're thinking of. But there's something neat about laughter. And I discovered it 10 years ago, or not 10 years ago, 5 years ago. But it's that it trauma is stored in our body. And I talk about that in the book as well. And when you're laughing, it's releasing endorphins, but there's trauma stored in our cells in our body, and it's another way to navigate out of it. I've found several modalities. I have a chapter on somatic healing. This, I will say, has been transformational. Somatic practices, because our nervous system is interrupted, and it is on high. We're hyper vigilant. We're really on high alert. And so if we're not aware of it, our nervous system is kind of navigating the way we face the day. If we're not healing it, resetting it, then what's happening is we're still stumbling, and we're still in this, it feels like this, it feels like chaos inside. And you smile. You show
You're
up like I
right,
gotta,
and you're not
you're
doing,
burying
yeah.
everything, and it's disrupting
Mhm.
your nervous system even more.
Oh, for
So it is
sure.
such a journey. It's such a deep, profound journey that it's hard to even describe in words, and I get long-winded about it a little bit. But what I wanted to say is, in my book, I even have like exercises you can do, like the leg drop, um, because the nervous system, the vagus nerve, is tied to the psoas muscle, and that leg drop can really help calm that nervous system. I have had situations where the VU breath, which is something that kind of vibrates the vagus nerve, um, I have been able to do that in a meeting under my breath,
Oh,
where I felt
beautiful.
my anxiety going up or my nervous system, off regulated. But all of those things are in my book. And the neat thing is they're really right size. It's a 6 word lesson. So it's paragraphs on each little thing, and it's easy to absorb. And I did it on purpose, because when you're overwhelmed, you can't read a thick book and absorb it all. So maybe you can pick it up and read a couple different paragraphs on this, that, and the other, and it can keep you going one more day, and it just compounds and builds. So that's about my book.
I love that. So in a way, it's like you're helping hold people up, walk them through this when they can look that up and feeling overwhelmed, like, okay, can I move my body? Can I do a little cleansing, deep breathing? It's so healing, right? Body, mind, spirit, soul, it's all encompassed. And I love that we're talking about emotional wellness because people are so often like, okay, you have a physical ailment. I'm going to, go to the doctor. I'm going to um, take medicine or whatever. But how often are people, well, more people now, I'm seeing more and more, which I'm grateful, coming in to work with me and other people that are doing healing work to say, I want to feel better. People don't see what's going on, but we feel it. And like you said, you had this shift when you went, I added in some of these other things along with your healing journey, and you feel that release and feel, oh, I can have more joy now and happiness, and I have my boundaries. And it didn't happen overnight. It is a journey, as I put it. But I think it's phenomenal that you wrote this book so that it can help people when they're like, I don't know where to turn, including men. Yes, I'm glad that I did because I've had more men that have come to work with me, which I'm grateful. I had a few approach me when I did a public speech about narcissistic abuse, and he thanked me. He's like, do you think I could ever get better? He had messages of hope because he had been married to a narcissist. So again, yes, these messages are important. The books, the knowing where people can turn, knowing that you're not alone, that, each person's journey is different, but there's people like Rae Ann out there that have written a book now that will help walk you through different steps that are there's evidence-based things, scientific-based things, and your own journey that you've applied it and go, oh, this, I feel amazing now, right? Life is good. Life looks, life looks good now, right?
Yeah, and I had already written a couple books on the things that had helped me get to the point that I was, and that was before the separation from my husband and all that. And then I discovered my healing needed to go deeper, so I wrote another one. But I had one on growth mindset, six for less on growth mindset, and one on overcoming abuse and abuse that we give to all of our recipients. And now I'll be giving them that one with this emotional healing because I think the two combined are wonderful. And again, they call it that snackable wisdom because they're in bite-sized wisdom pieces that you can easily absorb. But they're all on Amazon. The emotional healing, this is actually the book, but
Can you
it
move it
is,
forward? I couldn't, it was
oh yeah.
a little back. Oh, I don't know why it's not zoning in there.
Oh, okay. I think because I have the background faded, but anyway, it's going to be out on Amazon, early part of June. My other two books. But like I say, that it's a journey, and healing is not linear. It's
Yes,
just
right.
uh, and to put a timetable on it is a disservice to ourselves and others. And when they say never judge someone, you never know. Be kind to everyone. You never know what they're going through. Well, it's really true. Even with famous people, like people that look polished and ready and you don't know. Now, some, if they're coming disheveled and all this, you can tell something's up, right? But a
Right.
lot of times we're putting our best foot forward, and you would never know what horrific things have gone on. And that's okay because we're not trying to show up. We want to show up in our best. But if we're not taking time to do the inner healing, it's doing damage to our mind, body, and spirit. And so, in our alone time and with the right safe therapist like yourself, or trauma bond specialist, or whatever it might be, take the time every day, even if it's 10, 15 minutes, to look at those deep inner wounds and keep healing them, whatever level they may be. Maybe it's not a narcissistic, maybe a current relationship, maybe it's something from the past that you never did the healing. Whatever it is, I would just encourage everyone, because the other thing that's in my book is on our value, knowing your worth and your value.
Mhm.
And when you take time to take care of you inside and do work that's going to help you grow and heal, that is going to increase the way you look at yourself and the value that you know that you have. And what happens is you draw in better relationships through this journey. And you got to stay on top of it, give it time, because, like I said, mine was more of a year and a half before I felt that release. But all those things combined and compounding and continuing to reset the nervous system really help calm and calm your life and enrich your life and open up to more things that you can experience. And I do believe man is that he may have joy. This interrupted my joy and I had to get to it. I mean, that's my color code personality type is yellow. And so you can imagine how hard this was to have my life ripped apart, my heart shredded, everything. And not, and I was trying to do it on my own until I found that specialist. Doors started opening to happiness, joy, and peace the more work I did. So that's why I wrote it and I'm sharing it.
And thank you for writing it and stepping into that because people need to know you're not alone. And like you said, people can show up in their professional realms or professional hats, and we don't know what somebody's going through unless there's an obvious of somebody's in a
Yeah.
gazebo or whatever, but to make it safe, right? Like, the more you share, you probably have people come like, I want to learn more. I want, nobody understood what I was going through or with me, the more I shared publicly about many things, but one of them was narcissistic abuse and healing from that. I've had people go, oh my gosh, I'm so relieved because you can understand it. And now how do I, get better? So, in that way, as we're tending to our own gardens and finding our love and worth does not come from anybody else. It just doesn't. You hold the pen to your life. And
Yeah.
when we fill up our cup, and it's not that arrogant self love, it's like, I really love who I am. We can pour better, healthier things into other people around us and share these ideas. So, I love that you did that. I was thinking earlier, I won't share the whole story, but I think it's pretty phenomenal. You and I were, without knowing it at the time, invited to meet each other in person probably about 5 years ago-ish. And I had a lot going on
Over 3 years
that day,
ago.
and it was a mutual friend. I felt honored that, oh, she invited me to go on the boat. How fun. And it came full circle when now we got reintroduced by another amazing lady, and a shout out to Lori Hardy, because if you don't know who she is and want to do a podcast, I'm going to say she's amazing. But anyway, how our paths came together at the right time, right? And we attract on our level of healing and wellness, or we detract on that as well. So I think it's amazing and the hope that you're giving to people. So I'd love in wrapping this up, do you have a golden nugget that you want to share with us? And then also I want to find out how people can find you.
RaeAnnHall.com is my speaker page. GrowNow.life is my nonprofit. We both have my phone number and email contact. So that would be a great place. Um, but my final bit of wisdom would be you really are precious, special, adored, treasured, valued, and worth all of it. Worth standing up for yourself, healing yourself, and you have so much more joy coming into your life. Take time to care for yourself and love yourself, forgive yourself, release the shame of any mistakes you might have made, and go inward in ways, get assistance, let go of pride and ego, you know. But it's a big nugget, I guess, I'm giving you.
I love it. That's a big gift you're giving to us.
But I just want you to know you're worth it. You're worth the work it takes to heal what was inviting the pain into your life, or the pain that was inflicted into your life that turned your life upside down. You're worth it to continue on. Please avoid, putting powering through. take a pause, heal the hurt. And, we can give into anger and this and self righteous and all of that. But if you step back, go inward, find your value, find your worth, heal your pain, life will become a whole new world for you.
I love that. Thank you, Rae Ann Hall, for taking time to be with us today and all the beautiful things you shared. And much love to you and everybody.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.